All right, so in our last class, can you remind me what we did last? Hmm? Okay, because of the new students, once he resumes, we have to like go back to more like a revision though. Not like entirely go back, but eh? We have not gone for exactly, yeah. But we've actually gone for though, but to some extent, yeah. Then okay, so that's when she resumed, Sha. Okay. So yeah, remind me what we did last. Yeah, what was it called? Are you sure? Try and remember. No, I defined what we were doing that day. So what were you doing? It was on a topic. Okay. You remember now? Eh? Exactly. It's called conditional statement. And I also remember that I gave you an assignment. I gave you like two assignments, have you? Two have you won? Oh, okay. One. Let me see the one you did. Oh, I like what you did here. Okay. You use Python on your own, have you? Python in May 26. Enter password. Access granted. Why is the access granted?
I don't know, but when I just wrote the password, just wrote access granted.
No, that's wrong. It's supposed to be incorrect. Oh, okay. Password. Okay. Access granted. Access cannot be granted.
You said access granted.
Yeah, but access cannot be granted if we've already stored the password here. Now we said, okay, password. This is the password for me. Let me see if that's the reason. That's not the reason. Okay, then password equals includes. Then if password equals password, then print access granted. Else print incorrect password. Let me see what's actually mixing out. We no wonder.
Where did I get it from?
The uh, first of all, you saved, which is correct. Okay, now you called password, which we saved here. And we said inputs. If we enter this saved password here, it's supposed to give us, but right now, our password is giving us II. That means it's not actually saving this. That would be the logical reason. It's, it's not using this. Okay, saved it here. Okay. So password, this is the password. All right, no problem. Password first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The inputs. Enter your password. Your password. Password was okay. All right. This is the reason why. The reason is because we are calling everything passwords. Now we are saying this one here now does not even matter anymore because what you did here, it's not saving a new password, which is same thing we are calling here. Okay, that's what it's saving here. We are not saying we are not telling it, okay, if this password is equal to the same password we are calling, just called password, which is the new password. So it's not going to see this one. So instead of doing that, we are going to exactly. So instead of we need to call our save our password this value to a new variable. Okay, so you can just name it password that's for me or anything like that. Then since we are not saving, we are not saying okay, yeah,
Put it as password. Yeah, not put another password.
password exactly, and you're not still calling
What's your password?
exactly. So I think you understand the idea now, which is nice. Okay, so we are not saving this inside this. Okay, so wherever we have here, that's what this one is going to tell us. Okay, so and we are saying let's know that let's call password. Incorrect password, good. So if we try, if we go back again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is it incorrect password? If access granted, it's no correct password.
Or if you give me below that,
Check.
this is below after the password, this one come down.
I'm coming. Password. Dash. So not define password equals this password, which is actually correct. So why or I think this might be the logical reason. It's because it has to see it as that is see it as a number. Okay, exactly. That's right. It's an integer. It's not a string. So you are treating it. You remember I told you that you have to treat numbers as integers, otherwise Python is going to read it as string. So that's why it's saying that's an error. Yeah, because we are saving an integer and we are calling a string, so that will not work. Yeah, so I think that's let's try that. Okay, exactly. The reason why we are getting this right now is the fact that we are calling an integer value. We are not calling uh, a string. Yeah, so that's why we are getting this error. Okay. But all of this will treat all of this. So, but I like the fact that you understand what we are doing now. So we are going to okay. Wait, hello, peace.
Yes, sir.
Wait, can you see my screen? My screen showing or blank?
Yes, it's actually blank.
Okay. I don't know. I'm confused.
I thought you wanted to even do something. That was why I didn't question.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so you understand now. So we're going to see more examples. So Ivan now, can you see my screen now? Can you see my
Nope.
screen now?
No.
Okay, I'm coming. Let me share.
All right.
Ivan
All right.
now.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you. So let's start from the assignments I gave you. Okay, so what you have there was as a you storing a variable. I want to store a string. Uh,
You want to combine like people and
yeah. Okay.
like this. Want to add more to it at the time.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that. But that's a string. That's not a number. A string. Yes, that's a number. You can't treat a string um and an integer as two separate things. Yes, it's either it's going to be a string like this one. When you send the password on your login page or on your sign up, it's always saved as a string. It's not saved as integer. You get whether you're adding 1, 2, 3 to it, it's always like that. Otherwise, it's an error when you're trying to bind an integer, called like an integer data set and a string data set. You get more like you see the error we had just now, that's the same error we're going to add. So programs don't run like that. So it's either you're treating it as a string is as purely integer. Yeah. And there's no password being treated as password algorithm being treated as integer, you understand? So that's just it. So this is string. Wait, sorry. Hold on. I'm trying to like okay. Okay, so um we are going to call inputs and we're going to say yeah. So when you are dealing with password, yeah, password is always treated as a string. It's not treated as integer. That's why that error was happening. Okay, so I'm going to say if password. Okay, means just print uh, okay. Now where this becomes very interesting, how password actually works in we've called the first variable or first second variable. Now we can now say, oh, if variable one is equals okay, we want to call one particular variable, we just going to say okay, if I am say a equals um then uh, then I think we also looked at this operational sign. This we looked at and right? Yeah, we looked at and pass me. Yeah, I think I remember now. Um, yeah, this comparison, yeah. Okay. Mm, okay. Okay. This is something I just came up with. Okay. Oh, we only entered for, sorry, we only entered for, uh, we only entered for, oops. Okay, so we are also going to enter for, also going to enter for this, enter, then we are going to call username. Hmm. So now, if we're going to look for a variable to call, we're going to save both username and password into. Okay, so we're just going to call basically login. If login is equals username and password. Okay, this is quite tricky. Okay. We only need one conditional statement for both. You can say login, login. Okay. Suppose password. Just got this password. Okay. Honestly, this just came from my head because there was no way. Let me see. I know to also say faith to login. Do you know why we are getting faith to login? Okay, quite tricky. Why we are getting faith to login is these two variables, 1, 2, 3, they are all the same. If I take this one, I take this one. I'm saying login, enter username. Okay, I'm also coming here to say login, enter password. But it's the same thing. It's just going to see it as the same thing. So it's more like we are calling just one, more like we are calling just one variable, and we are saving this one variable we are calling into two different variable. So I think what we can do is um uh, funny. I know I have an example like that here. User, and let's call this pass. Oh, um, now if user Um, Ask me was need to log in. Okay. Oh, exactly. Okay. Oh, oh. Okay, I think I see where we got it wrong. Okay, if user equals username. Okay, then pass me equals password. Okay. This is what happened. This is where I got it wrong. Okay, so this was what was happening. I was using I was calling this two variable and I was using and because we already said that and is um joining two things together. Okay, so I was supposed to say user equals this and which is the user, which is what we are calling here. User equals the username, which is peace, and they're already joining together now. And pass me equals password, yeah, which is this password here. So if this is actually correct, then it's going to give us the it's going to give us access to the it's going to give us access. So I'm coming. Let's okay. Um, this always as please try again. Okay, so now we are going to enter a wrong password. Fail to log in. Try again. Do you know why we are having fail to log in? But the password is correct now. But why are we having fail to log in? Check the password very well. It's correct, Abby. Are you sure it's correct? Check. Yes. You're wearing glasses, you should see it. How sure are you? You see it. Look at the password very well. And look at the password saved there. You should see it. Oh, okay. Morning. Please, just got it down. Yeah, thank you. You can see it. You can see it here.
But you didn't know the passport.
Yes, the
It's
password.
correct.
Look, check. Just keep checking. Then let me know if
Okay.
it's correct.
Passport.
Password. Check the password if the password is actually correct. How are you? What's your name? The name is Sylvia. Right. So hope we are not going to be having names in this. Very sure. Alright, that's nice. We'll come back to you. I'm coming. Okay.
The passport is correct.
It's correct, Abby. But how we getting failed to log in now? No, it's not tempting. Password is wrong. Check very well. Check that password and check the password I used. It's wrong.
Read it later.
Yeah. Capital letter. So that's why, like, if I go back now, um, exactly. See, we got access granted. The password is correct right now. So let me just quickly treat this one. Then, um, we can proceed. Okay. So now what I did was this we already know that this is a variable and we're saving a value to it to get. So we know this variable, then this is value. Okay, so these are values. Okay, so now we are saving these values to this variable. We are calling on that variable, which is the user, and we're just saying this user collecting an input because we talked about inputs a while ago in our former class. Okay. We also call pass me and we are saving on that variable. So it's yeah. Now we are not saying if user, which is this one, is equals to this username, obviously it's going to tell you that oh access granted. Now if the password is wrong and we already said that and is to join uh two conditions together or two statements together. Okay, so I'm not saying user is equals to the username. If it's correct, it's going to give us access. And pass me equals password. So if this is actually correct, so which is this one, which is this value there, it's going to give us access. Okay, otherwise. So when do we use and remember that we talked about, I don't know if you wrote them down, sure, the operations we talked about. Yes.
So, you this week. Yes.
No. And it works the same as these operators we have here. You know, these operators are for comparison or to like the equal to that we have here. We have no equal to, we have greater than, we have less than. Same thing and does this and we are seeing here. And we also have or. Okay. Or actually means it's either one of these two, either one of them will be correct. This one, either this one will be correct or this one will be correct. So if that's the case, then we are going to get like a wrong. It's going to tell us fail to log in. Please log in again because either one of these things are actually not correct. You understand? Because we are using we want to compare two things together. We don't want to actually get one of them to be correct. We want the two of them to be correct to get access into like a framework or anything. Yeah, so this is how logging system actually works. You understand? So it's exactly how we build what we build now. This logic. That's how logging system actually works. Okay. So then we continued and we said prints, which is our output statements, and we also called on that prints again, which is you may now continue so whatever you want to do. Okay. Then otherwise, this is a conditional statement too. Okay, otherwise, fail to log in, repeat itself again. Now, when we are talking about when we are dealing with loop next time, we also see that instead of the program to actually log out, it's going to continue. This login, this fail to log in, please try again. It's going to restart the application again. Okay, then to give us the same access to enter your inputs. Okay, so that's when we are dealing with looping, sure. Okay, but before we get to looping, I think we are going to start from beginning. Not entirely the beginning, sure. More like a revision. That's because of you. Yeah, because like we've actually gone far into this. So we know that everybody's following along. Okay. Peace, right? Sorry, your name again. So yeah. Okay. All right. I'm Alex. Okay. This is your students. Okay, so I want you to be very, very free in our class. You can ask questions. Okay. Okay, you didn't come with your laptop. I know problem, but you have one, right? But you have one. All right, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. We we'll talk about that later though. Okay. But basically we are going to be doing more classwork and I doubt how you'll be able to like do those classwork that I want to do from now to like the time be able to like get access to a PC. But nevertheless, we can look for alternatives for you, understand, to do most of the classwork and make sure that okay, we're actually following up. Yeah. So but the class we're in. You know the class we are in. Okay, no AI content creator or creation. This is actually AI development. Okay. Where you get to learn how to develop AI models, AI algorithms. You're going to learn programming language like Python, okay, which is the core language for building AI systems. Okay, yes, basically. Hold on, I'm coming. Basically, that's what we do here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So from the beginning, we actually started from data. That's data type. Hold on, I'm coming. We started with data types and variables. Okay. And we talked about what variables are. I talked about what um what data types actually are. For me, let me share my entire screen to okay, I want to share my entire screen. Okay. Yeah, please. Can you see my entire screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about variables and we talked about data types. Okay. Now we established the fact that variables are more like a storage system or like a container. Okay, you know, like a container, for example, right now holds either an object, can be water, water can be objects. Okay, so if you have like a container and like a pure water or container for anything at all, it holds an object. Exactly, that's what variables are. So in computer language, we have what's variable, and so those variables now holds information. So this can be a variable. Okay, a user name can be a variable because now it's holding an information. Okay, same as password. The password is a variable, right? And it's holding an information, it's holding a value. So basically, these are what this is what a variable are. Variable basically are used to store data in the memory, so you can use it later on. You understand? So if I want to use the information I am saving to this variable later on, I'll be able to use it because I've already saved this value into this variable. So basically, now this becomes like a container. This is like a container for holding an object or for holding something for later use. You understand? So if that's clear enough, let me know. If that's not clear enough, I would move back. Okay. Now, with that being said, um we also talked about data types. Okay, and we said there are different kinds of data types. We have the integer. Okay, we have integer data types. I'm coming. Okay, we have integer data types. Okay, we have string, we have lists, we have dictionary. It's represented as dict, which is DICT, and we have sets. We talked about all of this, you understand? More like we are going to go over this again. Okay, I think it's going to be an advantage to them. So, okay, so now an integer is number. So when you are dealing with an integer, it means okay, you are saving a number into a variable. So for example, this for example right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. Right? Okay, so this is an integer value, an integer data type. What you are seeing here right now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. It's a number. Okay, so that's an integer data type. It's different from strings. So when we are treating numbers, we treat it as a number. Okay, so when we are treating a string, we treat it exactly as a string. So these are all data types. We are also going to see how we use data types in programming. Okay, how we get to implement them in programming. Because sometimes when you are dealing with an integer and you are calling that integer back, the programming expects you to treat it as an integer. Okay, so if we if this was okay, we are treating this as a number right now, and we are creating a login system. If I enter this password, I'm going to get this failed to log in. Please try again. Do you know why? Because Python is trying to tell us that okay, that's a number, and you are giving me a string. I don't know what you are talking about. You understand? So exactly. So when we are dealing with an integer, we deal with it as an integer. So when we are dealing with a string, we treat it as a string. You get? So so I'm just basically revising what we did last time. So we're going to treat them basically step by step so you understand. Okay, so we also talked about list. Okay, so lists is also as a variable. We also say, and this variable can be anything. You can call it anything you want to call it. So it does not really have a specific name. Okay, so I can say list of fruits. Okay. Mango. This is exactly how list work. Care, or how do you spell care? What do you have again? Banana, exactly. Okay, so this is how list work. So I can call a list right now. This is starting from zero. This is 0, 1, 2, just like that. So you can have list of different objects, or list of your hobbies, your list of fruits, all of these. So this is exactly how list works. So we are saving a list into a variable. So sometimes we call a variable and add a value to it. So all of these as what we've talked about like in a while ago, while we're before we move to our class we are in right now. So the same thing we're also going to talk about, like when we are revising, when we go back to our class again. Okay, so then we also talked about, okay, integers. We said integers, we saved what's it called? We save numbers to integers. Okay, these are integer, like I talked about just now. Then we also talked about mathematical operations for integers. Okay. Then we talked about strings. We basically also talked about combining strings, okay, and two strings together, which is like a first name, second name, okay, adding them together. We talked about those. We also did more examples on all of this. Okay. So then I think we did a lot of classwork for all of these examples you gave. We also did assignment too. Okay, then what else did we talk about before we moved to inputs? We moved to inputs, which is the same thing we were dealing with just now. What we have here, inputs here. We've done outputs, which is what we're calling here. This is the outputs. Yeah, so outputs actually prints what we've done out there. So I'm just basically going back, revising everything we are going to learn, you understand, till this present space we are in right now. Okay. Uh okay, so do you have any question? We've not started though, but I'm just basically revising what we are going to start with. You guys, are you sure? All right, so you understand the class we are in, right? Okay. Like I said, we've not started. I'm just basically giving you overview. You understand? The overview of from now, right from now, okay, to where we were, which is conditional statements. That's where we are just now. Okay, so all right. Because I'm thinking how would you be able to do some of the examples we are going to uh, talking about today, because I would really really like to practice them while you're in class here. Yeah, that's fine. That's really fine. Yeah, I think I would like that more. Okay, so yeah, starting from variable. Now we started from variable. I'm also going to share these handouts. This is full handouts for first week. Supposed to be We're supposed to be not just first week from when we started, which is first week. This is fourth week, right? Or third week. Exactly. Okay, so this is what we've done from the beginning of our class. So I'm going to share this. Exactly. So I'm going to share this handout with you guys. This is full handouts you have today. Yeah. For um both looping. We've not gotten to looping, so it's going to be an advantage for you to also like read about looping. So now, what's variable? Okay, and data types. We are going to start from variable. Okay, we said variable are used to store data in memory. Okay. Okay, so you can use it later in your program. I'm going to break that down. Okay, now basically a variable is like a container. Let me just share it now. Let me share it with you. Yeah. Okay, so let me create one WhatsApp group. Yeah. So I'll be able to share it to you guys. I think that will be better. I'm coming. Let me just add me up on WhatsApp. You have my number now. Then just get a number. So I'll share it with you guys. So it will be more easier to follow. Yeah. Just
AI automation.
AI integration and development. So if you think that's a very good idea, we can debate on that right now. So 30 minutes to our closing time. Use that in doing that. It's okay. All right, no problem. So I'm coming. Let me share the on the okay. So so basically you okay, we already know what's variable. Okay. Breaking this down now, we now know that variable is like a container for holding values. Okay, I can get to store any value into those variables. Mind you, a variable can be any name at all. Okay, a variable can be Sylvia, a variable can be Etinosa, a variable can be anything. Okay, and a variable can hold any value. Okay, a variable can hold any value itself, any value we give to it. It can be an integer value, it can be a string value, whatever value we are giving to those variables. Okay, now a name can be a variable, like we said, like I have think of a variable as a labeled box or a labeled container. While I'm saying this, let me just be sharing. Let me just uh okay, maybe after this after the class I'll just share it okay, so I can get to read that later. So we said a name can be a variable, fruits can be a variable. Okay, what else? Hobbies, anything at all that you think okay can be a variable. Usernames, password, all of these are variables. Okay, you can save information into this variable. Why do we have a variable? Okay, why do you want a container? we always say that we want a container to either save objects. That's why at the end of the day, that's why we create variables. So those variables holds information that we need for our programming. You understand? So if I'm saving, if I'm having a name as a variable, it means I want to save somebody's name. Can be I want to save Sylvia inside my variable. That's how it's spelled, right? Sylvia. Okay. Or Etinosa. So we can have numerous of variables, we can have plenty variables that we want at the end of the day. So from our earlier class, class one, where we're talking about variables. Okay. So we took the leverage of creating a variable as first thing. Can you see what we're talking about? We took the leverage of creating a variable as first name. Okay, you can say first name, John, right? And we save John as a value inside this variable. Now we created on that variable, which is last name, okay, which is I will call that Doe. John Doe can be somebody's name, can be anybody's name. Okay, so now what are we trying to establish? Trying to establish the fact that this is a variable. First name is a variable, and we said a variable holds information for later use. Okay, so now anytime we save a variable, we necessarily don't use the information saved to that variable. Okay, what do we use? We use the variable itself. We call the variable. After calling the variable, then we use the variable in our language. Me, your number is not WhatsApp.
I cannot remember what now.
Are you sure? Check again, just check again. Why didn't you just scan? Scanning would have just been better. Yes, now when you want to add somebody. Eh? You've seen it already. Okay, probably next week, I guess. Okay. But you can get to do that later though. Maybe after the class. Okay. So but you'll be following what we're talking about, right? Eh? Are you following? Okay, so now, like I said, I created a variable called first name. Okay, this is a variable. Let me just now I created a variable called first name. Now, that's a variable. Like we said, a variable can be anything. I can say name. We also said a variable has a value which we want to save to this variable name. We already know that this is a variable, and we are not going to call the value when we are calling our variable. We are going to call the variable. So if I'm saving a name to, if I'm saving an information, a value to this variable name, it's going to be probably a string, same thing I'm going to save to this variable name, which is I can save anything I want to. I can anything I decide to save. Okay, Usas, I'm saving this value right now into name. Exactly. So that's what I'm saving. So I can create on that variable. I can say second name. That's how it's spelled, right? Okay. So now this becomes the value that this variable is holding. So anytime I get to call this variable, anytime I get to call this variable second name, it's going to tell me Sylvia. Okay, exactly. So anytime I get to run Python, it's going to tell me example. Oh, sorry. Now I remember. Actually, I have to go back very, very far because I know before we started this class, we talked about Python itself. We talked about what Python is used for, and we talked about IDEs we are using right now. We talked about this particular framework we are using, IDE. We talked about the system itself. We talked about different kinds of OS, your Android system. We talked about your Windows. We talked about Mac. We talked about other systems like Linux. Okay, and we looked at various ways of installing IDEs like this. This is called a Visual Studio Code. Right. Okay, so let me be done with this. And we're going to more like we're going to start afresh because right now you're coming in as a beginner, someone who you've not really done um, programming or tech or anything like that before, right? And starting from here, it's going to be quite difficult for you to process. So I'm going to go back to the entire beginning where I started from. Okay. All right. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So before I continue, I know you're already grabbing what we are talking about, Sha, but just going to start from um, the beginning itself. Now, this is the system. This is a laptop, okay, that we talked about. Now, we said laptop, they all run on software. This is an hardware. This entire block we are seeing here is an hardware. This is an hardware. Okay, but without even your phone too, the entire block of your phone is an hardware. Okay, but they run on what we call operating system, OS. So now this OS makes us allow us to interact with our computer, which is the hardware we already have. So without an OS, without the OS on your phone, it can be an Android OS, okay, it can be an iOS, okay, can be Windows, can be Mac, can be Linux. There are different kind of distros of OS, okay, that runs on that runs on hardware that makes us humans communicate with hardware. You understand? So these are fundamentals of stuff like we need to basically know before we dive into um our core language, sorry, our core feed we want to dive into. Okay, so now we've established the fact that there are different kinds of OS. Okay, now this is a system, this is a laptop, and different kinds of softwares we use in this laptop to communicate with this laptop to achieve what we want to achieve, either as a developer or as a programmer or as uh, someone who is basically using a computer, okay, like a basic person using a computer. Okay, so there are different kinds of software you use in achieving your everyday life, even on your phone. You want to access Spotify, you want to access your WhatsApp, okay, you want to access um other apps on your phone. Okay, these are softwares that runs that helps you communicate with the hardware. You will not be able to communicate with the hardware. The hardware is just a piece of um what's it called? Okay, it can be a piece of plastic or wherever running inside, working inside. Okay, but without your software, what you are seeing here right now, it's nonsense. It's useless. You'll not be able to use it. Nobody will be able to use this hardware like that. Exactly. So that's why we have this fine interface you have on your on your phone. This fine interface they run on software. So software makes them run. So on your phone right now, you have operating system called an Android. Use an iPhone, I guess. It runs on OS. The same thing, iOS. Okay. This runs on Android and that runs on iOS. You probably might have heard of Android and iOS, right? Exactly. Those are operating system. So those are the system your phone using communicating. Okay, so either your phone is running on any of these operating system, which is OS, which is OS, to communicate with the hardware. Okay, so now, like I said, there are different kinds of okay um OS on your system. We are all basically knowledgeable about Windows operating system. We use Windows operating system. Everybody, I think 99% of population of this world use Windows system, which is what you're seeing, and which is the same thing he uses to get. And I guess you are likely going to get a Windows system or a Windows operating system. Okay, so they have their own way of running softwares. Okay, they have their own softwares. They have the way they get to run their softwares. They have the way they get to run or install their softwares on their operating system. Okay, like the software we are using just now is called Visual Studio Code. That's what we are using in our class to do our codings. This is we're seeing. It's called the Visual Studio Code. Yeah, this is what we are using to create. This is what you most likely going to use in building your applications, your app, your web applications, your AI applications, and stuff like that. So, yeah, so this is basically what you are going to use most of the time. You understand? But there are different. There are other IDEs. It's called an IDE. I think Integrated Development Interface. That's what it's called. IDE, Integrated Development Interface. Yeah, that's what it's called. Okay. There are different kinds of IDE. This is a Visual Studio Code. I know there's one um called Eclipse too. There are different kinds, yeah, just like that. So now it's a software. Okay, so this software help you humans, you understand, write code that will help you run on your computer. Exactly. So those codes can also run on your phone. So we also looked at how to install Visual Studio Code. I think we installed Visual Studio Code in our class. Okay, we looked at different ways we we install Visual Studio Code. We looked at installing Visual Studio Code directly from directly from what's it called? We looked at ways installing Visual Studio Code directly from our laptop. Okay. And I think we also looked at installing Visual Studio Code from their website itself. Okay. Then we also talked about um, Python. We also looked at how to install Python on our laptop. Okay. I think we would have been able to set up your environments right now if your laptop was here, if your PC was here. But when you get yours, I think you'll also be able to do it after our class here. Okay. We are going to look at ways to install them. Then when you get yours, if you won't be able to like do it, we also be able to look at how to do it here. Yeah, we'll do it here, and you also like learn how to do it in case maybe some other time you get access to on that PC, you're able to install your softwares, you'll be able to install your frameworks there in your environment. Exactly. So now we looked at um Python. Now, what's Python says? Python is a programming language. Just the same way we have other programming language. Okay, we have thousands of programming language. No, I think hundreds or thousands of programming language. And Python is far like one of the most used programming language in the world by a lot of developers. Facebook, Google, ChatGPT, what else? There are a lot of companies that use Python to create their applications in Netflix or those search algorithms you see on Netflix. Yeah, they are all run by Python. Okay, and a bit of AI algorithm on your what's it called, Instagram, Facebook, your uh, TikTok. They're all run on AI algorithm. When you do your search, when you are searching for people on these platforms like TikTok and the rest of them. It's AI that does those algorithms that searches those people that also recommend different people to you. So all of these same thing we're also going to learn here. We're also going to learn how to build recommendation system. Yeah, to recommend maybe you are building a recommendation system for maybe shoes, people, to give you similar products for something.
Everything, all that.
I think it applies 3 months.
Okay.
But I think we can try. But I think we can try in 2 months, yeah. So but but after this, I think after this so I think this uh, after this section, there's another section. After this section, there's another section. Yeah, after this section, there's another section. Yeah, after these 3 months, there's another, which is second section. I think right.
Every there's need it, just think like how a 2 week.
Alright. I think we'll be able to cover up some of the things we need to cover up, but just that we have to come to class on time. Yeah, and um, because if we have any other student right now, I am still going to go back. Yeah, so it's not going to be in my own favor. It's not going to be in your own favor, anybody's favor. At the end of the day, it's going to slow us down. So that's why, like, as much as possible, we need to keep running as fast as we can. You understand? So we'll be able to achieve more that we want to achieve. Okay, so um like I was talking about just now, yeah. So Python runs on almost all applications on the internet right now. When you are searching, the search I'm doing right now on Google, this is Python doing all of this scripting we are seeing, all of these searches. Exactly what you're seeing right now, what you are seeing there, that's Python. Yeah, exactly this. It's very advanced. It's an advanced framework. Sorry, it's an advanced language people use, you understand, for building search engines, okay, for building recommendation systems, for basically even applications. Python does building apps too, okay, but it's minimal compared to other frameworks like React, um, React Native for building apps on your phone, okay. But Python does a far greater work than all of this. Yeah. Then Python also you can also use Python for web building web applications, not just app. Okay, even for data analysis to Python work on all of these platforms. Yeah. So now, like I said, Python is a programming language that lets you work quickly or develop applications. Yeah, it can be any kind of applications, and it does this effectively. Okay. We also looked at Python interpreter the other time. I think we looked at interpreter. We looked at how to access interpreter. Okay, and we looked at how to install Python on our system. Okay, so now this is Python their websites. Okay, from here we'll be able to from here we'll be able to install Python on computer. Not just from here, sha, but once you get your PC from the marketplace too, okay, this market store. From this market store, you're able to access Python too. And I think here is even quicker. Why? Because it installs the whole library and configures your system itself. You get, so that you not be able to, like, so that you will not at the end of the day make mistake in configuring the dependencies that you need, that Python needs to run on your system. So instead of going to their website, I think it was from here we actually installed. It was from here we actually installed Python on our system. So once you type Python on their markets, on the markets Okay. Once you type Python here on this search, you're able to see different Python versions. The one we are using currently right now, it's not like we will not be able to use 3.13, but because of new bugs and everything, we did not use this one. We are using 3.12. That's what we installed. If you see there, you see installed. You see installed because we've already installed it. I've already installed it on my system here. Okay. So I just installed. After clicking install, it's going to install, it's going to configure your system. You get so, and you're going to get the same thing I am getting here. If I type Python on my interpreter, you're going to see Python. Okay, you're going to see this interpreter. Yeah, this is Python interpreter. This is what Python use in running its language. There are different kinds of interpreter. Yeah, but for Python, that's what we are dealing with. That's what we are going to be talking about. Okay, so this Python interpreter, and if I want to exit from this Python interpreter, I just enter exit with this code brackets, this brackets, closing brackets, open brackets, and close brackets. Okay, so right now I've exited. Sorry, okay, I've exited from the interpreter already. So now, okay, like I said, we are using this Python 3.12. That's what we are using currently right now. So basically, I did not install Python from their official language, sorry, from their official sites. Just installed from this uh, Microsoft store. You see Microsoft store when you get your PC. So you also see Microsoft store, and from there you'll be able to like install Python directly into the system. If you go to their website here, you see there are different versions. Okay, there are different versions of Python that's been released over the years. Okay, we have 3.6, we have 3.7, just like that. 3. See, this is the current version right now, 3.16. Okay, I will not really advise anybody installing 3.16. Why? Because of it's a new version. You understand? And there'll be bugs, and they'll want to like fix all these bugs. Okay, there will be security issues, and they want to like basically fix all these security issues at the end of the day. So that's why for me, I would always advise people to install the previous version before that version because it's more cleaner and it's free of bugs. Yeah. So yeah, these are other distros. Sorry, these are other versions of Python. So if I click any one of these one right now, I'll be able to install from here. I'll be able to install um download the Python manager from the official sites. This is like the second method we also looked at that day. We also looked at this installing Python from the official sites. Yeah, but I'm not going to do that because I have Python already on my system. So I don't need to install Python and install on my system. So I'm just going to pause this here. Okay. Then we basically moved to next thing. Okay, so now this is basically our framework and workstation. Okay, installing Python, running Python on our system. Okay, the interpreter we also talked about that day. But I think we talked about interpreter that day. I also remember the first day we took our time um to go over the interpreter, some command lines you'll be able to use on your interpreter. And then I think after the interpreter, we started talking about writing real programs, okay, and running them on our system. Okay, then okay, you can also get to stop me if there's something you need to ask. You understand? You can also get to stop me if you need to understand something is not clear. Okay. Um. Okay. So you can see here, it's installed already because I have Python already installed on my system. This is how the interpreter looks like. This is the interpreter from CMD. From the Windows command, the Windows has a command. I'll be able to access Python from anywhere, you understand, on my Windows system, from any folder, from any folder, I'll be able to access Python just by calling Python, just by typing Python, because it's installed already, because it's yes, you can write it here. For it's going to run. It's going to run like this. But from what you can see here, this one you are seeing now, this command line, it's the same thing as this command line. So if you're writing a program, it's not going to uh, run exactly the way you are seeing it right now, except there's an IDE built inside this command line. But there's no IDE built inside this command line. So you'll not be able to write code exactly the way you are writing it. The only place, I think the only OS that has a command line, so it has an IDE inside the command lines, Linux. You've heard of Nano Editor. There's Nano Editor inside your Linux. Yeah. If you open Linux like this, you go to Nano, it's going to open an editor for you, but your Windows does, yeah, your Windows does. It's exactly right programs what you are writing. Programming, yes, exactly. But you'll not be able to run that program inside the Nano. You need to exit it, save it, exit it, then come back and run it. But that's stress. That's why we have an IDE. The IDE actually makes creating programs quite easy. It's really, really easy at the end of the day. So you write your program, then have um your interpreter or your command line to actually run the program you've written already. Yes. So now, since I have Python already, like I said, in my computer, it's just for me to type Python. After typing Python, I will just press enter. So the ID is going to appear. This is how the ID looks like. Yeah. So when you get something like this on your system, when you after typing Python, you get something like this, then you know that, oh yes, Python has been installed already. Okay, so I can also exit and check what version of Python um, I'm running. Okay, I'm running 3.14 version 3.14.5. That's the version currently installed on this system. Okay. Um, there are basic stuff I can do with my interpreter that I've written. Sorry, that is installed on my system. I can basically just print. These are outputs. Uh, and we say an output is basically something that outputs information or a value to a user or to somebody. So if I am typing this right now, print is the output of Python. Same way we have inputs and output. In computer, we say input is giving a computer something, yeah, and it gives it to you back. You get so the printing or print itself is called the output. So while inputs is what takes the information to the computer, while print is what prints the stuff out. Okay, so now if I give print an information to print out, it's not going to tell me print again, it's just going to give me that information. For example, I am saying I'm coming over to, to your place later tonight. Now, if I press enter, the interpreter is going to print that out. I'm coming over to your place tonight. Okay, so this is how Python interpreter works. Yeah, so it's quite easy, quite simple. Yeah, so but there's so little you can really test with your interpreter. That's why it's actually nice you have your exactly not just PC though. well, the IDE, you understand, have your IDE to create a very large program that would run. Yeah, programs that can run on um thousands of lines of codes. Yes, exactly. So that's why you need an IDE, because there's so little you'll be able to do with what we have here, the interpreter. We have, see, let me know if it's 30 minutes to the clean time, then we can change. Um, okay, so so far, is there anything you've not really grabbed? Is there anything you really want to ask? So I can trash that out and move to the next thing. Okay, okay. Python itself, right? That's what you're asking. Okay. Now, Python is a programming language. You've heard of programming language before. Okay. Now, there are different kinds of programming language. Um, we have language and we have programming language. Okay. So programming language are language that executes logic. Like Python itself, it's a programming language for building applications, for building large models. Your ChatGPT model was built with Python. The model that runs on ChatGPT itself is built on Python. It was developed with Python, but not this interface. If you go to chatgpt.com right now, okay, so now this one you are seeing, this interface you are seeing here right now, probably being built with a um a framework, and there are different kinds of framework. There's React for building web applications. Okay, so all of this makes your internet, sorry, makes, what was it called? Makes ChatGPT runs properly. But what I'm trying to explain is the fact that Python itself runs in the background. Exactly, it's a programming language, so it's not like for storing information or anything like that. So it's a programming language that helps you build applications. Okay, and it can be any kind of application. It can be web applications, can be app that runs on your phone. It can be analyzing of data. In data analysis, they use Python a lot to analyze data, to um, to list data and stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's a programming language for building applications. So that's what Python is all about. And we're going to, in our development here, we're going to be using more of Python in our development for building applications. Okay. The model we are going to be writing on is still going to be running on Python. Uh, so yeah, the model we are going to be building on is still going to be running on Python. Right. So is there like any other question you want to ask apart from that? Okay. All right. So while we move to next thing, that we've established the fact that Python is a language for building applications. Okay? And in our class here, we're going to be using Python a lot. We're going to be using Python to build basic stuff, chatbots, and can be chatbots for ordering food, can be chatbots for um, login system, can be any kind of chatbots. Okay? Chatbot that replies people, simple applications. That's what chatbots. It's not going to be generative. It's going to be basic chatbots. Yeah. When it becomes generative is when we are not using models. Yeah, like LLM, yeah, like a large language model. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to answer this question. Yeah, like large language models. Yeah, like ChatGPT model. I think ChatGPT 1, there's ChatGPT 2. All these are models, yeah. And these are pre-built models already. So that we can also leverage on that are quite generative to use. So, but normally chatbots are auto replied. Yeah, they give you like auto reply that is embedded inside of them already. Yeah, so okay, so with that being said, we move to so when you get your system, we'll be able to like install the IDE, install Python on it. Okay, so like I said, Python is a programming language. Okay, if the same way we have other language, okay, we have C, we have C++, okay, we have other language, but for our class here, we are going to leverage more Python, okay, because for AI development, we use Python a lot. Okay, Python is our core language for building AI applications, AI system. Python we use a lot. So yeah, this will take us to what we were talking about a while ago, which is the variables and data types. Okay, we've already established variables. Now we are not talking about Python itself. Okay, in Python we have um different topics in Python. We have different functions in Python. We have what makes Python itself. Okay, so if you are writing a language, it follows a rule. Okay, it's either that rule follows Python rule or you are going to get errors. Where we have variables, we have data, we have loops. Okay, these are rules for Python, and we also have what we call functions. Okay, so all these functions help Python itself do its job, run properly when we are creating an applications. Okay, like variables, data types, um, conditional statements, okay, loop, um, definition, functions. Okay, all of these are what help Python do its job, run properly as a programming language, become like a standalone. Okay, so now talking about a variables and data types, which is what we were talking about just now. We said variables are containers, if you remember correctly, or storage system, or more like a container, or more like a storage, uh, a storage for saving information or saving a value or storing a value or storing information. Then yeah, so that's basically what a variable are. I would say we can store different variables, we can store different information in variables. Okay, we can have a name variable, we can have fruits as variables, name, fruits, sorry. Oops. Okay, so can have name, fruits. What else? Yes, now we're inside our IDE already. This is the Visual Studio Code I installed. We installed Visual Studio Code to actually create our Python, to create our Python programs. Okay, so I am inside the ID. Going back is quite going back is quite a lot because it's eh? Yeah, I think so because I have to go back. Because going back right now is a lot for me. I won't even lie. Okay. So continue from I'll just continue from the variables and stuff like that. So when you get your PC, you're able to go back to those stuff. Then how to create your first file, how to create your folders, all of these. Because if you get them, I think it will also have to like go back again. Okay, so now variables can be of different names, can be of different values. Okay, so we can have variables for name, variables for fruits, variables for hobbies. Basically, anything you want to. What can you think about? Um, uh, okay, let's take this theory. But let's be clear that variables can be anything you can relate to, anything you can relate to. For example, you're writing a program about saving the list of names of people in your class. I think it's going to go with it's going to go with a flow with name variables or anything related to that for storing your information. Okay, so now I'm going to say just name. So we said name, you can store values inside this name. Values can be um Usas, values can be John, values can be style, values can be anything. Yeah, so these are values. Okay, I can save anything I want to save, and these values are stored like in real time. So I can get this information again. I can get access to this value. Yeah, and you also need to understand that variables are short-lived. They don't have long memory. They have like a very short memory. Because I can decide to assign on that information to or on that value, sorry, to this variable I have here. For example, I save John here. I can assign on that name entirely to John to this name. I can say a second name. Second name equals name. Second name equals name. Now, what am I basically doing? I have a variable already, and I have this information to this variable. I saved John to this variable. Okay, now I'm calling on that variable. I'm saying second name is equals name. So I'm saying second name is equals John. So I can basically call second name and say second name is equals Steve. Yeah. So it's not going to print John anymore. It's going to print second name. Sorry. It's going to print second name, which is your name, Sylvia. It's not going to print this. The reason why it's going to print this is the fact that we are not assigning this. We are not saying, okay, name is equals second name. So automatically, wherever is inside this name, whatever name we've stored inside that name, automatically becomes the second name. So whoever is here now has been forfeited, as is lost already. You understand? So that's why it's called short lived. So if I get to run, how do we get to run our application? How do we run what I've written here right now? This script, this program, this is a program. This is a very short, small program. You understand? Uh, well, this was written. Okay, so Python example. So it's going to print your name. You can see it's printing your name out. The reason why it's printing your name because second name now is now equals your name. Yes. So what we are trying to establish is the fact that variables hold information. All of this that we wrote here, all of this that you see that they did not print out, but we printed it as scripted what we wanted. Print is the output we need to call information. We need to call anything we want to call. So now this name, this is the name variable. Now, if I say print name, it's just going to print John. John Doe. Okay. Now we are saving this value inside this name. This is the value and this is the name. The variables value. Okay, so I'm just trying to distinguish these two. Okay, this is the variable and this is the value. Okay, every variable has a value. So the value is the information the variable is holding. So anytime we get to call this variable, we call the value. So it's the value we are calling. I don't know if that's clear enough. Now, this is the variable. Up there, that's the variable. The name is the variable. The value itself is the information the variable is holding. Okay. Now, if we want to output the variable, we just basically call the variable name and it's going to print the value we have. So now, if I say Python, because I'm running this on example one, so it's going to print John Doe. That's the information the value is holding. Sorry, that's the information or the value this variable is holding. If you watch, I did not call John Doe here. I simply called the variable name. So far, let me know if you are grabbing this. I know this will be a lot because you've not really done this before, but but with time you definitely understand what we are doing. Okay, but I'll take my time. You don't need to worry about that. I'll take my time to make sure that you understand properly. Okay. Uh, okay, like we're talking about variables. And we're talking about, like I said, that I separated here. This is the value. This is the variable. Okay, and we said variable are like container. It's like it's like cup of water. Okay, and you are putting water inside that cup of container. The container itself is the variable. So what's inside the water, which is the water, is now the value. Okay, so if anytime I carry the cup, I'm also carrying the value inside exactly, which is the water. So anytime I call name, which is this variable, I also call the value. So it's not going to print name. It's not going to tell me that, oh, are you saying name? Are you calling name? Python already understand that you are calling a variable. You are calling what I stored in that variable, what I saved, what I put inside that variable, basically. So that's what we are calling. You understand? So now if I get to run, what I'll just do, I'll get to just run the application. Once I run the application, it's going to call John Doe. And this value, like I said, can be any value at all, can be any name. You understand? Can be any name at all. Can have two names. I can say first name, second name. Okay. Um, okay. Now it's going to print these two variables you are seeing here, these two informations. Now there's a first name and there's a second name. Now, if I call name is equals to, mind you, name, anytime we are calling a variable, anytime we are assigning an information to a variable, it's always go, this, you see that equals to, it's refers to as assign. That means I'm assigning something. But when you see something like this, we'll also talk about this later on when we are talking about operators. Okay, this means equal to, like you are not really assigning something, you're not assigning a value to something. You are comparing two things. You are saying, okay, this particular thing, it's equal to this. You understand? Like mathematical concepts. When we are talking about mathematical concepts in programming, we are doing that in conditional statements, are we? Yeah, we're doing that in, yeah, it was a conditional statement. Yeah, that's when, but when we get there, you also understand why we get to use two equal to for conditional statement, but for assigning like a value to a variable, we use one equal to, yeah. So this means I'm actually assigning something to a variable. So now this is the name. This is the first name. This is second name. Now I'm just going to say name. I want to assign second name and first name, which is the variable, which is two information to this name. Okay, so I'm just going to say first name. Okay, first name. Um, plus second name. Oh, no wonder I was getting error. So plus second name. That's correct. Now, when I call name, guess what it's going to do? It's going to join these two things together. It's going to join first name and second name together. So what we've done here, we are joining first name and second name together, and we are storing these two variable we've already created, which holds these two value into one name. So okay, let's call this full name. Full name. Okay. And if I call full name and I run my program, you can see exactly the same thing we did that time. Now, what we did was joining first name and second name. Okay, we joined them by adding plus. This is a semicolon, right? Exactly, semicolon. If you watch, semicolon is separated with another plus again and a second name, which is this. The second name is, what value is holding? What value is the second name holding? Do, right? Exactly, the holding do. So we are calling full name now is equals the value we are calling. So if I over here, you see that it's trying to tell me. So basically, it's trying to tell me that. So if you over here, you see that it's trying to tell me that the value we are saving to the value we are saving to first name is John. And if I over here, you see that it's trying to tell me that the value we are saving to second name uh, is is though is though. So it's though, you can see. So that means we're actually correct. Okay, so just by calling full name now, we are getting the value. You understand? So we did not have to call we did not have to have to call the value. We only did call the variable name itself, and we call the second variable name, yeah, which it's these two value that we are saving, and we assign these two value, sorry, these two variable to this full name variable, to this full name variable, and we printing full name. Yeah, then we're telling full name. Okay, what's up? Secretary, you are disturbing our class. Okay, so basically the full name now becomes the assigned value we've already stored on this. So let me know if this is clear enough. It's clear enough. Are you sure it's clear enough? But with time, don't worry. You'll understand what we are doing, get better off. Again. Then I also encourage you to do some research. Okay? If there's any question you need to ask anytime, whether midnight, I don't sleep, you can get to ask me. Okay, so I don't I don't sleep. Why would I be sleeping? Yeah. No, no. There's I don't. I do sleep, but I won't call that sleep. Maybe like an hour. Try to force yourself to sleep. Yeah, yes, you did. That's bad, right? Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think I know. People here like
Why would you be
this.
sleeping?
But I woke up around
You woke up around 3. Wow. Eh? Exactly. You hardly sleep in Nigeria because why would you be having 2 hours sleep like Nigeria? It's crazy. There's no bad.
very bad.
How is that bad?
So, really, this hour.
I can't even get 2 hours sleep. How much more? No, no. That's like too long to man.
So, yeah, 4 hours. Compared
Well, that's crucial.
to family.
Why?
Very bad.
No, I can't sleep. That's the thing. I can't. Sorry, I'm saying. Wait, I was. Wait, please, were you hearing what I was saying?
That
Okay, never mind. I thought you were hearing me.
I think my network was breaking at a point, but I heard the giggles.
All right, no problem. All right, we'll be wrapping up soon, though. I'll let you know
All
when
right,
we're
sir.
wrapping up.
All right.
Okay, so so with time, we're going to understand better, get what we are, why we need variables. Again, variables holds information. Yeah, with time, all of these will sync properly. You will understand that yes, okay, what Python is actually all about, and why we, in the age we are going to right now, a lot of people will not really code that much. A lot of people will not write codes that much. Yeah, maybe when you are building an app, for example, you don't need to write bunch of code. You just need to write just in an AI that will help you write the entire code from A to Z. You get it?
What they are learning.
So those informations are generated in real time. You understand? So it's uses a lot of power, uses a lot of thinking ability and storage to process all of those information real time. So we don't have that facility to build that kind of massive storage system. Yes, like storage system that would take a very big acre of land to get like very big farmland or stuff like that. Very big, like mighty stuff like that. So these are what's like ChatGPT, Meta AI, rocks, all of these model. These are the stuff they use. Okay, it's like empowering their AI system. Now, one thing you need to understand, an AI system is basically useless without data. If there's no data to feed that info to feed the AI, it's useless. It's just basically a program itself. Okay, so every AI needs data to run. Same thing when we are building our AI here, we're also going to model it. We're also going to like we are going to feed it with a lot of data, you understand, to run properly. But it's not going to be like a large model, it's going to be like a small model, something that would help you keep advancing on your knowledge. Yeah, so that's it. So is there anything you need to ask based on what we talk about, based on variables? We've not talked about data type. Okay. I would I think maybe when you get your PC, I think, but before then, I'll just go over I just try as much as possible to go over them. Then when you get your PC, I think to be clearer again. Because I would have actually wanted to run this on your system so you see how it's running. You understand? But that would be impossible right now to get so. But just understand it instead of cramming. We already know what's variable. Okay. We already know how to assign information to variable, right? Exactly. And you know how to assign two variable to one variable. Now you're assigning two variables. We've defined a variable. We define a variable. Full name, yeah, exactly, and the second name, exactly. So we are assigning two variable. How do we assign two variable? Okay, we assign two variable by calling the two variable we've defined first name and second name. Okay, and we're using a plus sign to join them together. We can also get to do this. This is also assigning a variable to another variable. Okay, assigning one variable to a fresh variable. We are saying if I call full name, it's just going to print John. It's not going to print the though because we are not calling the second name John. You can see it's calling John, so we're not calling second name. Okay, so if we are joining now, we will to join with a plus sign. Okay, with another plus sign, then second variable we get. Now we're calling second variable. Now, so that means we are assigning two variable to one variable. Yeah. Okay. So we'll be able to like do more examples when you get your PC. Okay, so when you get home, you also get to like practice, understand all of this. If there's any question you need to ask, you just simply write me up and stuff like that. So yeah, our class is has ended by the HR. I'm just like trying to take time. Then let me just glance through data types. You want to ask something? Okay, so now we have um different data types. Okay, we have the integer, we have strings. Now we know integers as numbers, and we can also save numbers. We can also save numbers. Okay, we can also save numbers to a variable. This number is known as integer. Okay, now why this is known as strings, this one. Now, how do we know this is a string? Because it's covered with, closed with a semicolon. This is a semicolon, right? Now, if I close my numbers,